All right, welcome on to this Q&A. Again, want to welcome on to this Q&A. A question came in, and the question was: person receives a package, right? They receive a package, and what happened? Package they didn't order, right? It's a package they didn't order, and it's something that's perishable. Something that's going to go bad, right? Go bad, go sour, whatever. And the question was, let's say, okay, so the question was, let's say buy frozen fruit or something, something like that. And they call the company. The company says package unreturnable. What do you do with the frozen fruits? Can you throw it away? All right, that's one question. So the second question is, let's say you got the question that someone is causing fraud. I don't know, defrauding somebody. You want to make it look like it was you. So they order something that makes it look like you ordered it, and they're trying to frame you. All right, let's go. So the question is, what do you do in such situations? So the first part of the question is you call the company. They say, listen, this is the address, we're supposed to send it to. These are the records. Person can say, I never ordered it. Right, it's not mine. I didn't pay for it. Whatever they say, according to our records, this is where it's supposed to go. Right, so they say, I want to return it. Yeah, let's say there's no refund. Yeah, how are you going to return it anyway? It's going to go bad. Right, they say, let's say they say, well, these are the records. This is what it is. It's yours. Now you have no recollection of this, nothing. Right. So the first question was, well, the first question I would ask is, could you keep it? Right. Let's say it's kosher, right? We'll make it easy. Something kosher. Yeah. Are you allowed to keep it? And if not, is that a transgression of Baltashkas? You're wasting food. Right? You say, well, what would be the problem? What would be the problem? You say, if I take it, I'm stealing. Right? So you wouldn't be, so in that case, let's say you wouldn't be allowed to take it. Okay. Right? So the question, what's going on here? What are my liabilities? So I think first part of the question is you can't return it. Right? No possible way to return it. You call the company, they say, listen, these are our records. This is where it's supposed to go. Person that I never paid for. Doesn't matter, it's paid for. You don't have any record of it. Someone obviously must have paid for it. Okay. So really, in all practical aspects here, it's yours. Right? Came to wherever you live. It's in your house, right? You picked it up, it's yours. Really, it's yours. Now, if there's nowhere to return it to, and they're not going to take it, right? And they're absolutely not going to take it. So if it's kosher, the thing's been paid for, there's no wrongdoing, you're going to say, well, it's not mine. Okay. But according to them, it is. It's not, if it's dropped at the wrong address with the wrong name, that's one thing. But if they say, this is yours, we have on file it's supposed to go to you, so technically it's yours. You didn't pay for it. Doesn't matter. For them, it's already paid for. Very good. It's already paid for. So if it's already paid for, it's yours. Now, let's say you don't feel comfortable taking it. Again, we're making it easy. That it's kosher. Right? That it's kosher. Now, if it's kosher, you can eat it. Right? Really, you could eat it. Now, someone would say, I don't feel comfortable with it. There's no one to give it to. Can't return it. Right? Now, let's say person, okay, you don't want to take it for whatever reason. Right? For whatever reason, you don't want to take it. But really, you could. Okay. But let's say person doesn't want to take it. So what do? What do? Can they give it to somebody else? Right? Can they give it to a Jew? If it's kosher. Right? Can they give it to a non-Jew? Is there any difference? So in either case, probably not going to matter, right? If it's not something forbidden to get benefit from, you can give it to a Jew or a non-Jew, right? That probably wouldn't be a problem. It's yours. You can give it to whoever you want. Very good. You can give it to whoever you want. Okay. So let's say you don't want to do that. Are you allowed to throw it away? You throw it away. Is that called wasting food? It's not yours. You don't think it's yours. You don't want anyone to get out benefit. You don't know where it came from, right? Or whatever the case is. Even if it's very wrapped up in this and that. You can throw it away. Essentially, you can throw it away. Someone's going to say, come on, this is about tashkas. You're wasting food. In this case, probably not. Probably not, right? Could you throw it away? Yes. You can give it away, right? And to a Jew or non-Jew, right? If it's not something forbidden to get benefit from. If it was like, a cheeseburger. I don't know. Someone sent you like, a whole order from a store. And it's treif, mixture of milk and meat. Again, technically speaking, it's paid for, it's given to you, your name on it. Someone sent it to you, but you can't get benefit from it. Right? Milk and meat, you can't get benefit from. So therefore, you can't give it to a non-Jew. Can't give it to a dog, can't give it to anybody. Right? You got to flush it down the toilet or bury it, make sure no one gets benefit from it. So if it's something that you get benefit from, good. Right? You can give it away. If you don't want to give it away, you can throw it away. Is throwing away baltashkis is like you're wasting food? No, not in this case. In other cases, maybe, but not in this case. Now, that's the first part of the question. Second part of the question, a little more complicated here. And the second part of the question is like this. Oops. Second part of the question is, let's say the reason you got the package wasn't because someone was doing you a favor. They were causing fraud. They were defrauding somebody, and they want to blame you, right? Whatever reason, right? They want to make it like you ordered something. Okay. So to leave a trail back to you. Now they committed fraud to this company. And so you need a little more detail here. There's got to be something else going on, because even if we get back to them, the company, if the company's saying, you ordered this pay up, then yeah, that'd be a different issue. My assumption one is paid for, you have it, so do whatever you want with it, right? Well, let's say not that way. Let's say the person who did it, and now they're blaming you, right? In other words, the paper trail is coming back to you, not to anyone else, right? So I don't really know what the question there is. Well, that's why you got the package. Okay. So if that, you don't know that though. Well, let's say you find out after the fact. What would happen if you threw it away? Yeah. What happened if you threw it away? So yeah. So in that case, there are bigger problems there, right? The bigger problem is that they are saying you owe the money. Now, what can you do in such a situation? You can say, I didn't order it. I didn't want it. I have no idea what you're talking about. This doesn't belong to me. I didn't order it. They say, we have right here, you ordered it. So then, right, what would you do? You call up the company. Call up someone in charge. Like, listen, I got this thing in my possession. Someone's obviously playing a joke here or something. Right? I never ordered this. I didn't order it. I don't want it. I never eat this stuff. Whatever it is, whatever the perishable thing is. So now the question is what they're going to do, right? Because they say, well, somebody owes us this money and your name's on it. So, I mean, what recourse do you have? You're going to say, you say, fine, take me to court. I'm not paying it. Sue me for it. That doesn't seem like it's going to be that much money. So he said, listen, I have nothing to do with this. Whoever did it is, putting it on you. But you didn't do it. You didn't do it. So now the question is, and again, it's theoretical, but, now the question is, what's the company going to do? I mean, if it's something that of, not such great value, I don't think, they're going to say, well, your name's on this, you owe the money. What was it, $10, $20? Even if it's $100. Yeah, they're going to go through the whole process to do it, to go after you. Maybe they will. There are people go after, they want people to get away with things. So, even though it's not worth it for them to do, but they'll do it, right? They'll do it to make a point. Yeah. In other words, if it would be something worth $100, which it probably isn't, the lawyer's fee and doing all that is going to be, a lot more. So they might just say, all right, forget it. Or they may not. What can a person do in such a situation? Says, listen, I didn't order it. It's not mine. Someone's obviously playing a joke here, right? But yeah, person created, it's fraud and you're guilty, right? You got your name all over it. Say, okay, that's the way it looks, but I didn't do anything there. It's your word against theirs. So, person can say, take me to court. I'm not paying it. Right? I'm not paying it. I don't care. They put my name on. It's not mine. So again, what's the company going to do? So I would say it probably depends. It depends on the merchandise. Yeah, if it's something really expensive, yeah. So, then it's going to get a lot more messy, right? It's going to get a lot more messy because they want to recoup it. They're going to say, listen, you owe the money. It's only worth, $1,000, $3,000, right? A couple $100, I don't think they're wasting time. Yeah. Well, maybe it'll take you to small claims court. I don't know. Right? But if it's something significant, like something worth thousands of dollars, yeah. So, they'll take you to court. Right? So they can do that. But, in the end, you have nothing to do with it. It's not yours. So it doesn't matter if the other person created fraud or not. Even the paper trail goes back to you and no one else. Very good. Right? So if they're going to claim the money, obviously you say, I have nothing to do with this. If it's a small amount of money, my guess would be they're not going to waste their time. They're not, unless it's a principle. Take a small claims court, for $100. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think big companies are going to waste their time. If it's something worth a lot of money, let's say they've defrauded thousands of dollars, they're not going to look the other way per se. They're not going to look the other way for something significant. If it's not something significant, if not something significant, they're not going to bother. Right? It's your word against theirs. So you say, take me to court. Take me to court. Like, what can they do? It's an insignificant amount of money. They're not going to do that. If it's a significant amount, it's okay. So they may take you to court. So you have to bring proof why it's not yours. And they're going to have to bring proof why they think it's yours. But obviously the person doing it and creating the fraud obviously is guilty. Right? Now, the question you could ask in the bigger scheme of things would be, why do I have to go through it? Why in the world do I have to go through it? Why'd you get caught with it? You have nothing to do with it. I'm not saying you did something wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. Right? You did nothing wrong. Now, could be, let's say they say, okay, you're right. We have proof here. It doesn't seem, someone's got to pay. Right? Let you off either with a minor fine or no, you're going to say, I'm paying anything. Now, let's say you have to pay something. Let's say, there's a lot of aggravation. You got to pay something. You end up paying something. Now, what's the person going to say? I didn't do anything wrong. Good. So why'd they have to go through it? What was the purpose? Bigger picture. What was the purpose? The purpose was God's taking them for a loss. God has to hit them. Has to hit them in the pocket. That's kind of a strange thing. Right? If you think about the whole scenario, it's a very strange thing. Because you didn't do anything wrong. Right? And again, making the case very simple. You did nothing wrong. So if you did nothing wrong, right, why should you have to take the loss? And my guess would be it's payback from something that either you did, which you're not aware of, or you forgot about, or it's payback because your soul has to go through this. Right? One or the other. Right? One way or the other. So it's punishment. But this is kind of strange though. Right? When you think about it. Right? And the reason, what's the reason it's strange? Because you have nothing to do with it. You had absolutely nothing to do with it. So if you had nothing to do with it, then something else going on. Right? Again, we're making it very simple. You are not guilty for anything. You're not guilty. Totally not guilty. Now, when something like that happens, we'll just flush this out a little bit. Something that's out of your control. When something is totally out of your control, meaning there's no possible way you could have guarded against this. No possible way. Right? So then there's something else going on. So I remember I had a few things happen in a short amount of time, very much above nature. Very, very much above nature. Like, in the normal scheme of things, never should have happened. Never should have happened. So one thing happens, makes you think, what's going on, what did I possibly do or whatever. But if two things happen, I'm not saying simultaneously, but very short time after the other, then it makes you think. Because it's out of the ordinary. It's not something according to nature that should happen, right? Let's say. So I had a few things happen that were above nature, very much above nature, right? Very much above nature. And I want my wife to speak to my Rabbi about it. And I asked him the following question. And the question was, do you think this is a ayin hara? Right? An evil eye. Do you think it's an evil eye? So I told him what happened. And he looked at me and he told me in no uncertain terms. He says, I don't think. He says, I know. I know that is an evil eye. Well, it's like scream. So something like that, which is things that happen above nature. If it's above nature, then it shouldn't happen. It makes you question. Definitely makes you question because it's out of the ordinary. Right? It's not normal. Now, ayin hara in evil eye can't be taken care of. You have people know what they're doing. They, take lead, put it in, boiling water, and if they pour it out, and there are all these eyes there, it means you have an ayin hara. It means you have someone must have put the evil eye on you for whatever reason. Now, that can be taken care of. You have people that know what they're doing. That can be taken care of. So people say, yeah, if you don't believe in it, it's not a problem. The Gemara says 99% of the people die from it, making people jealous. I've been speaking about the evil eye for the last number of weeks. Pirkei Avos, ethics for our fathers. So in any case, I called up somebody. Maybe gave me a number of someone to call. So I called them up, gave them my name. Yeah, I gave my Hebrew name. or whatever. And they got back to me after doing this, and they said, I don't want to hear what happened. I don't really care what happened, but at the end of the day, you should not be alive. I'm like, why do you say that? So he said, well, I did this thing with the lead, and basically you had such a strong, evil eye and horror against you, you should no longer be in this world. So I went back to Rabbi, told them this, and whatever, they, thank God, took care of it, got rid of it, whatever. So he said, see, told you. He said, because when things happen, again, if a washing machine goes and it's old, yeah, or, appliances go, car problems, this, that, a lot of times we say, oh, it's 9 hours, mega, check this, check that, check my mezuzahs. If it's normal wear and tear, it's not something, it's not something, it's not something that I have to worry about. Certainly not. Because it's normal wear, it's normal wear and tear. If it's something that should not happen, according to nature, right? According to nature, it shouldn't happen. And it's not because of negligence. And it's not because of anything else. It shouldn't happen. So that means there are other things going on. If it's, again, let's make very, very clear. If it's normal wear and tear on something, or according to nature, it certainly could happen, okay. Let's say I live in a place, which is true, that's always a lot of construction going on. And because there's a lot of construction, you can have all kinds of things on the ground, and you get a punctured tire, right? And hopefully, you take someone, to look at. Hopefully the tire's not ripped. It's just whatever. You got like a screw in it or whatever. So they take out the screw, put something in there, and usually the tire's fine. Sometimes the tire can go. Okay. So if it happens, once in a while, it's a normal thing. Right? 100% it's a normal thing. Right? If it's something, let's say over a period of a couple of weeks, it happens, and now you're out, $300 for tires, right? A few tires go. That I would say is something to be concerned about. If it's normal wear and tear, okay. You're going to say, okay, this had to cost me money. That's a normal thing. So that I don't necessarily have to worry about. But it happened a number of times, in a short amount of time. And something that's really, shouldn't, if it's common, shouldn't happen multiple times. And if it happens multiple times, yeah, that I would say is cause for concern. But anything else, I mean, there are people very much into this. I and Harm, Rabbi being one of them, in general. Okay, so there are things you don't want to do. You don't want to make people jealous, or, whatever the case is. So even so, a person shouldn't be so quick to say, well, this happens, because of that. Things could happen. Now, even if it's uncommon, even if it's something that you would say, well, it's uncommon, that doesn't necessarily mean the person's got this like hex on them, or they got this like evil, this evil eye on. Doesn't mean that. Something could happen. Person's supposed to, go somewhere, and something happens. They can't go. They get, whatever reason. Planned. Something happens, whatever it may be. And now they can't go. Now the question is, so how do you look at it? You can say, well, there's something must be going on. This is really normal, right? But at the end of the day, the other way to look at it is, okay, so you weren't meant to go. You weren't meant to go. For what reason? No idea. It's very easy when we see it clear. Now, let's say a person's gonna, go on a trip and for some reason, they couldn't get there, they got delayed, whatever, and that plane crashes. Okay, so they understand why they get on the plane, right? That's very clear that they weren't supposed to be on the plane. Yeah. Or anything that's like that you would see clear as day what the repercussion was and why it didn't happen. Okay, that makes sense. But there's nothing worse than being in doubt, right? People don't like to be in doubt. So, they're very quickly, someone will say, oh, it must be because of this, or it must be because of that, or it must be because of something else. Maybe. Not ruling it out. I wouldn't say it was that would be the first thing that come to mind, unless, it's something way out of the ordinary and other things happen that, you can't explain that, are not normal over a short period of time. That I would say would cause concern. That would cause concern. But anything else, wear and tear, normal wear and tear. I wouldn't necessarily worry about it unless it's a lot of things at once. If it would be a lot of things at once, then I could hear. I had somebody, just throw this out there. Somebody, probably one of the best students I ever had many years ago, and they started my classes, and a week into the classes, fridge breaks. 2 weeks later, wash machine had issues. About a month after that was, car issue. Right. So they got back to me and said, this always happened by students of yours. I said, yeah, but by you it happened a little bit earlier. Now, why did I say that? Because anyone who wants to convert in general, it's a hard process. There are a lot of setbacks. The evil inclination doesn't sit around, right? It makes it hard. And, I'm not going to say impossible. Sometimes feels like it's impossible. But what happens? It can be a lot of deterrence. Tremendous amount of deterrence over here. That at the end of the day, okay, what? So you got to say, well, I have an evil eye. It's not a question of an evil eye over here per se. It's a question that, you're going to go through the ringer and suffer, right? And see if this is really what you're going to do. And it's a test. That's the point, right? It's a test, right? All these things are tests. The only question is this something that could have been prevented or not, right? That is the question. And if it's something that could have been that, there's no way. There's no possible way he could have prevented it. He had no idea whatsoever, right? That it was coming. Nothing you could have stopped. Right? Nothing you could have stopped. But there's something else going on. Potentially. Right? Potentially there's something else. There's something else going on. Somebody asked, all right, take some questions here. Somebody asked, there are standard sites for learning gematria. What is gematria? Gematria is every letter has a numerical value, right? Alpha is 1, base is 2, Gimel is 3, right? So a lot of times, the commentaries will say, well, if you look at these words, the gematria is X. And you look at these words, the gematria is the same. Right? The numerical value is the same, right? So they'll make a connection between the two, right? And say these are similar things because the numerical value is the same, right? I'll give an example, right? We're getting closer to Purim here, right? Now, Amalek, that's who Haman comes from, right? Mr. Haman himself comes from the people of Amalek. The numerical value of the word Amalek and the numerical value of the word suffix, doubt, are both equal. Now, what do we learn from that? What did Amalek bring into the world? What doubt did they bring in the world? Doubt of the supernatural. Atheism, right? Non-belief in the supernatural. So that's significant. Because even though we don't know who Amalek is today, even though many would say the Germans, Yamach Shemam V'Zichrom, right, during World War II, they were part of Amalek. Okay. But we don't essentially know who Amalek is. But essentially, what do they bring to the world? Atheism. It's always ironic. People say, come on, this is the Torah is so old values, old this, old that. Well, guess what? There's so much that resonates today. So much. There's one of them. This is one of them. Doubt in the supernatural. Even though a lot of people would say, yeah, they believe in God, right? As I was quoted, I said, I think it's garbage because they don't live their life that way, right? But even so, even if they, many people out there will say 100% bona fide atheist. Yeah, I don't believe in anything. Okay, you proved them wrong, but not really the point. They'll say clear cut, they believe in nothing. No supernatural, no nothing. Where's that come from? They come from nowhere. Now you can say, well, over time, this, that, whatever. Where'd it come from? It came from Amalek. That's what they brought to the world. So that's significant. That 100% is significant. So that's what gematria is. So somebody asks, okay, is there a standard site for learning it? Not that I know of. One of the commentaries is son of the Torah called as a commentator. Sorry, I shouldn't say son of the Torah. It's really the son of the Rosh, who is the Torah. Rabbeinu Asher's son was the Torah. And the Torah wrote a commentary in Chumash called the Baal HaTurim. Now, the Baal HaTurim, a lot of times, makes connections between different verses because they have similar words. Not necessarily numerical value, but they'll say, wow, it says like this over here, right, in our verse, and it says like this somewhere else, right? Same language. So he wants to learn from this to that, whatever, right? A lot of times he does that, right? Or he says, if you look at, it's not gematria, but interesting anyway, if you take, the last letter of the, of this word and, of these words in this verse, it comes out like this and like this. And that's what you learn out from the verse and all that. Okay, that's not gematria, it's a similar thing. It's not exactly gematria. So do I know a standard site? No. Don't know a standard site. Also many variables, some potentially doing more harm than good. Yeah. I'll say again, some of them you might say, well, look far-fetched. And no one's ever seen a demonstration of computer codes. Right? The computer codes, they put in, they put the Torah in it. And a lot of times if you take, in a certain portion, you count, I don't know, every 40 letters, every 7 letters, right? You get the words, you get the word Hitler, or you get the word, Shoah, what do you call it? For the Holocaust, or, let's say by the curses or whatever. Now you can say, wow, that's very interesting. Mathematically, that's very interesting. Doesn't prove anything. Okay. Ancient Torah, one of the things they try and show for belief in authenticity of the Torah, etc., is this exact thing, right? Of the computer codes. Now, again, it's one aspect. Right? They go through historical proofs, they go through other proofs, but this is one aspect. It's not going to make someone, a secular Jew be religious, but it's going to make them think, that's more of the Torah than meets the eye, because, when they put these codes in other books, Shakespeare, Chaucer, right? And these other so-called classic works, nothing comes up. Nothing comes up. The only thing that these codes, make any sense out of is the Torah. Now again, is that going to turn someone into a believer? No. Is it a piece of evidence potentially that could? Yes. Definitely yes. Right? But, it is uncanny. Because a lot of things show up in the Torah by, you count different numbers, from letters and different numbers and, whatever, 49 letters from this, 7 letters from that, 8 letters from this, whatever you come up with this, whatever it is. That is, I'm not going to say it's nothing. It's not nothing, right? It is significant by itself, but I wouldn't say it's the most potent evidence for someone to believe that God gave, that there is a God and God gave the Torah to the Jewish people, and why we have to keep it, right? It's a piece of evidence. I'm not going to say not. It is a piece of evidence, right? It's not, but I wouldn't say, it's at the high number of the in the top 10. That's going to convince somebody. But it's not evidence you can poo-poo, and just push it off. Right? It's evidence, right? 100%. 100%, I would say, it's evidence, but not full evidence going to convince someone. But you're right. There are a lot of variables, a lot of things, right? By doing it, that is true. It's interesting. It is definitely interesting. So you want to pin me down? Are there any sites out there? Not that I know of, right? It's gonna show someone like where to start, doing that. It's interesting though, because there are also just on Purim, to see someone is drank enough, the numerical value of Baruch Mordechai, right? Blessed be Mordechai and Aror Haman, cursed be Haman is exactly the same. Right now, if you drank enough, you wouldn't be able to do that calculation, right? Right? If you know the difference between Baruch Mordechai and Aror Haman, if you know that difference, then you didn't drink enough, right? You didn't drink enough because that calculation is going to be hard enough, be hard enough to do even if you weren't drinking. But if you're drinking, it'll be even harder, right? But that's that gematria, that numerical value of both is exactly the same, right? So it's also significant. Because, obviously Mordechai, Esther saved the Jewish people. Haman did what he tried to do and failed, right? So also significant. Again, one of these things not going to be, so that's explanation of the verse. This is what the verse means, and this is what we hold according to Jewish law. Never, right? It's not going to be practical in that sense when it comes to Jewish law, that numerical value is going to have, any value, in that. It's interesting. I'm not going to say no. Definitely interesting, and it is something to keep in mind, that I'm not saying it's not necessarily significant, but when it comes to Jewish law, it's not, in general. Let me see, sorry. Someone says person's heart's been broken by family, struggling with the Jewish community, all by yourself. Yeah. In the city, people consider them unfriendliest in the world. Okay. Yeah. Very well could be. Not going to argue. Whether it is or not doesn't really matter. And the struggle to find friends, common. Okay. Any advice on the way out of this? Any advice on the way out? You want to see God's goodness in that? Very good. Could this be an ayin hara? No. I wouldn't say it has anything to do with ayin hara. First of all, the Gemara says, Kol chaschos kashus. All beginnings are hard, no matter where you are. Whatever the beginning thing is, could be a new job, could be a new school, could be a person moved to a new city. There are a number of things. A person starts out, it's hard. Right? I'm not saying it has to be per se. Sometimes it's harder, sometimes not. Right? But I would say that it's common. Right? It's very, very common. New situations, hardship in it, very common. Right? Very common. Now, you're going to say, okay, move to a new place, you're on your own, people are unfriendly, and you pretty much answered your own question, right? And that is, it's common. It's common to find friends. So why would that be an ayin hara? Why would that be out of the ordinary? That's not out of the ordinary. And even going into new situations and new beginnings, that's normal. 100% that's normal. It might be hard. Might seem impossible. Might seem impossible. Yeah. But it doesn't mean it's an ayin hara. It doesn't mean someone's jealous of you or, God opened up your file and now he's making it really hard. It has nothing to do with it. That would have nothing to do with it. That's a normal thing over here. And even in the process of conversion, right? We'll just throw this out there. Even in the process of conversion, let's say move to community. Let's say it was easier. Let's say some people have had it easier. Okay, make it very simple. Some people have had it easier, integrated easier. Okay. Even if that's true, they probably have all kinds of other issues. They have family issues, could have livelihood issues, could have health issues, could have all kinds of issues. right? That make it almost impossible for them to finish. I can say, is that 9 hard? It's not 9 hard. It's normal. That is normal, right? And this is a test. It's part of the process, right? Absolutely part of the process, right? Because it's not supposed to be easy, right? 100% it's not supposed to be easy. So, if there were things that would happen that were above nature, if you tell me it's such a friendly place, but no one's friendly to me, you know, or other things, then I might say, yeah, maybe. Maybe there's something else going on. But if this is a normal process, which it is, even if you're by yourself, even, family abandon you and this and that, that's not 9 hard. That has nothing to do with the 9 hard, it just means it's hard. That's what it is. People have it hard. They go into the community where people aren't friendly, and that's the norm. Okay. But again, even if a person goes into a more friendly community, let's say, doesn't mean people are opening the door either. And they're rolling out the red carpet. Sometimes easier, sometimes not, right? I've heard even, in a very friendly community, I don't know exactly what happened, right? But, someone had it very, very hard. Could be they brought it on themselves. I don't know, right? Whatever it was. When I say that's 9 hard, no. This is part of the process, right? This is 100%, 100%. This is part of the process, right? And it's not supposed to be easy for a reason, right? It's a very good reason it's not supposed to be easy, right? So that being the case, the hardship is going to either make the person or it's going to break them. That's what's going to happen. That's why a lot of people don't finish this process. Not necessarily just because of community. It's just hard all the way around. And it's not because they have an iron heart. It has nothing to do with having an iron heart. It's just hard. If there were things above nature that happened, and a number of things above nature happen, I could hear the question. But if it's normal wear and tear of going through this process, and it's not 9 hard, right? It's just the wear and tear going through the process. That's what it is. It's part of the test, part of the initiation, right? When you say it doesn't have to be that hard, you're right. Doesn't necessarily have to be that hard. At the age of how old was I when I came here for good, or at least I thought I was here for good? 23. 6,000 miles away, knew nobody, very few people. I mean, I went back to a community that I'd learned in, so yeah, I did know some people, but family-wise, and other things, I was on my own. And nothing. Nobody. So, okay, I have the hardship of, meeting people and feeling part of something, okay. But you go to a place and you don't know the culture. You don't know the culture, what goes on there. I mean, Israel from America, very different culture. Very, very different culture. More, more European, but they say Israelis, crusty on the outside, nice on the inside. It's a hard culture. So, certainly for I would say for English speakers, and I would say whatever, Americans, South Africans, Brits, other nationalities, it's not easy dealing with Israelis. Right? Sometimes I was in a place and whatever, I need something done. And bureaucracy is what it is. It's better here. Definitely been better, it's definitely better here, than it's been. But I started screaming at someone. And they're like, well, you don't have to yell about it. I said, if I don't yell about it, you're gonna do anything about it? I mean, sometimes you just have to, that's what you have to do. I've done a number of times out of character. I'm not necessarily gonna scream at someone for no reason, right? But they're gonna scream at you, so you scream back. I'm not saying everyone should do it that way, whatever, but I had something where, someone said something to me and rammed it right back in their face. And they're like, all right, just do this and this, bye. That's it. But that's the personality grinds on people. That's why, people from, Western countries don't, they find it hard here. The mentality is hard. Again, it's better than it's been. You walk into a store, someone will be like, so what are you doing here? I'm like, well, I might actually buy something. Oh, all right. I mean, customer service has gotten better, right? But like, back in the day, they're like, you're taking up space. What are you doing here? I'm like, what, you have no idea customer service, how it works? Don't you want me to be here? Do you want me to spend money in the store or not? I mean, you have to be obnoxious about it, but like, you know, that mentality can grate on people. Some people love it. Okay. You know, a lot of people hate this fakeness. You walk in stores, hi, can I help you? And you say, like, if I drop dead of a heart attack, would you care? They're like, what? I just asked you how you were. You want me to come in, feel comfortable, and spend money in the store. That's what you want. Like, you really care. I once went to one of my trips to the States. I went to a certain place. And when I was there with my wife, so they're like, how can we help you? So I was like, well, I'm looking for batteries. I'm looking for this. So like, so anyway, these guys come. I was like, Fred, Jim, Bob. I'm like, yeah. It's like, okay, he needs batteries. Go over here. This, whatever. And I had all this help. I was, I was like, well, it's good to feel wanted. You come back here, you feel like, certainly not like that. But, in any case, that's the norm. That's the way, that's the way people are. It's just, that's the way they are. So some people hate that mentality, but you get used to it. You definitely get used to it. It can rub people the wrong way also. But again, a lot of these things are tests. That's what we're here for. Right? We're here to be tested. So everything you mentioned are not out of the ordinary things. They're not, they're hard. I'm not going to say not. Person all by themselves, no one to help them. No one's very friendly. Oh, that's hard. I'm not saying not. That has nothing to do with the nine heart. Right? It has nothing to do with the evil eye. If it's something, again, totally out of the ordinary, yeah. Then we then we have a discussion. But that's not necessarily, out of the ordinary. So I wouldn't say that's an nine heart. Why does Hashem put us in places like Egypt? Been influenced by the life of local people. Well, what's the answer? What's the simple answer? The simple answer is, why did he put us in such a place? One answer is because let's say different. Why did Moshe Rabbeinu grow up in the palace of the king? The one person he's trying to kill, that's going to be the savior, because his astrologer saw that, there was a child come out of the rivers, so I want to drown them all, right? All the males, that their savior, Jewish people's savior, is going to come out of the river. Yeah, came out of the river. His daughter took him, outstretched arm, right? Some say she went there to convert. She went to the river to convert, but she couldn't reach him, right? He was too far away, so it's like almost like Plastic Man. She like reached out, her arm extended, the Medrash says, brought him in. And she noticed, it's a Hebrew baby, blah, blah, blah. She brought him to the palace. Of all places, that's where he grew up. Why did he grow up? And he had to see all these things. He knew he was Jewish, right? But he had to see all the suffering of his people. Why do you have to go through all that? What's the simple answer? The simple answer is because when the Jewish people go out of Egypt, they're going to learn how to serve the King of Kings. So for him to be in Egypt, he has to see what a real life and flesh and blood king is. So they put him in there. One reason to see what kingship was. Yeah. But they go there and they suffer, right? Right? They go there, suffer, 80% don't come out. One of the worst countries in the world to be in. Immoral and all that, and idolatry. It's also part of the test. But God squeezed all that potential with what he made them into. He took them from a slave mentality, brought them to Mount Sinai, even though it was only 20%, 2 to 3 million people. Very good. Well, look what it made them. They're going to say, does God really have to put, squeeze the person like the bottom of the toothpaste to get the best out of them? Sometimes. Because we only grow by tests. So they're going to say, okay, well, that's a huge test. Very good. Well, that was the greatest generation in the history of man. They're able to see God face to face, whatever that means, at Mount Sinai. So it's all part of the test. It's all part of the test. The question is, what does the person do? Is a person going to be like the 20% that are going to follow what God says through Moses and go out, even though they're going into a desert? Or is the person going to be like the 80% who says, we're not on that level. We're going to die in the desert. We're not at that level, so they'd rather stay in Egypt. So God left them in Egypt. They died. It's a huge test. Doesn't God know they were going to fail the test at such a rate? Sure. But he made the Jewish people out of them anyway. Right? One possible reason. But it's all a test. Right? Life is all a test in general. With everything the Jews have endured through the ages, no wonder they're a bit crusty. Yeah. You don't trust anybody. Gone through all kinds of things. Yeah. I'll tell you, one of the most amazing things I saw in my lifetime, which I think was unbelievable. And that is, what happened after, October 7th. So you had, all the nations saying, Israel has a right to defend themselves, right? Most nations. Now, how long did that last before, once they went in and people accused them of genocide and all these things? Yeah. So, to me, it was incredulous that it only lasted a short amount of time. I didn't think it was going to last 6 months. I don't think it was necessarily going to last 2 months per se, right? But after a couple of weeks, and once they went in, it was like all hell broke loose, and anti-Semitism up the gazoo, and from the river to the sea. I mean, I don't think people saw that coming. Other people say, yeah, on college campuses, it's a known thing, and whatever. This came to the forefront. Okay, I don't think most people saw it though. Saw it coming to that extent. The absolute hatred and and animosity, and all that. But yeah, the Jewish people have survived. That's true. If they weren't, stiff-necked, being stubborn, they never would be where we are today. No question. Right? But you have to be that way anyway when you're learning Torah, because you got to fight for what you believe in. You got to fight for your explanation. No one's just going to hand it to you and say, oh, you think that's right? I got proof like this against. It can't mean that because of this. And you get in heated arguments and different things. Yeah, because you have to fight for it. Even if you're born into it, still have to fight for it. Can't take it for granted. Right? That's the only thing that's kept the Jewish people together, right? Is Torah. But yeah, with everything, everything they've been through, and all the hardship, we mentioned many times, Jewish people shouldn't be here. Right? Through history, Jewish people shouldn't be here. I don't think there's any question. So the fact that we are here, we're still here against all the odds. I mean, is pretty incredulous. But even what's going on in the last year, just see the grander picture. One administration that was going to withhold weapons, gave them all kinds of problems, told them they were committing genocide. Too many people are dying and all this. Even if they agree they're human shields, doesn't matter, right? Why they don't care, it's a good question. But, very, very much against Israel, holding Israel's hand tied behind their back. Yeah, but they say they have a right to defend themselves. Yeah, to a point. To a point. You got another administration that comes in total reverse position. You say whatever you want about Trump. Doesn't matter. He gave them the weapons. He's giving them green light. I mean, everyone in his cabinet, very, very pro-Israel. Marco Rubio said when he was here, kill every single one of them, of Hamas. That's what they're, that's it. You got to get rid of them. There's no question. You ever see Democrats say such a thing? Oh, that's inhumane. Can't do that. No, they may agree they're a terrorist organization, but we got to deal with them. You can't do it. You're kidding? They burn babies alive. These are the people you're dealing with. How do you not see that? Okay, two different ways. Totally different ways, not getting into politics. Two totally different ways to look at things. But you say, okay, when he came into power, a lot of things changed. A lot of things changed overnight, no question. No question. Yeah. So, you're going to say you have to go through October 7th for that? No. I'm not going to say that, but again, that's a repercussion. One repercussion, that certainly happens. So yeah. The one thing though we got to be clear on is it's in God we trust. Right? God's the one calling the shots. Now, anyone wants to help and be part of it, good. Let them be part of it. they don't want to be part of it. Okay, there'll be payback, but like, the contrast is huge, huge. So you see, what the Jewish people, what they've endured, right? That's, that 100% is true. And that's how Jewish people are going to survive, right? But obviously it's with Torah and mitzvahs. And it's obviously with this idea we don't care what everyone else thinks because no one else matters. People suck up to the Americans and this and that, okay, right? But God's the one in charge, bottom line. That's the bottom line. You have 22 Arab states trying to rip them to shreds. There's no reason, logically, the Jewish people should still be here. And what would stop them? I hope none of them are listening. What would stop them from sending hundreds of thousands of people on suicide missions, in 7 different directions? What would stop them? Say Israel's got nuclear weapons, it's got a powerful army, this, that. They don't have numbers, though. Majority of the people that are fighting reservists. Called up 350,000. More showed up. Or called up 300,000, 350,000 again, whatever it was. Still, compared to everybody else, the sheer numbers are tiny. They're tiny. So why should Jewish people survive? Why should Israel survive? Because God wants them to. See, it doesn't make sense otherwise. What would stop them from doing all these things? Nothing. Except God stopping them. It's the power of Torah in this country stopping them. That's the only thing that's stopping them. Right? And it could be a lot worse. God forbid. Right? But he's the one in charge. Right? That we can't forget. And it's the power of Torah that protects. Power of Torah. That's the most important thing. That's going to protect the Jewish people more than anything else. Now, it doesn't mean you don't need a standing army. You need a standing army. That's clear. 100% that's clear. You need a standing army. But you also need people to learn, people to daven, people to pray. Right? That's where the salvation comes from. Not from peace agreements, not from presidents, not from prime ministers, not from nothing. Right? And one thing that we learned from the Holocaust, if anything we learned from the Holocaust, you never, never, never rely on man. That's what we learned. America sent back a number of boats, refugees. They didn't take them. They sent them back to Europe to die. I understand. They don't want to get involved, whatever in the war, but they didn't have a choice. God brought them in the war, the bombing of Pearl Harbor. Okay, so they had to get involved. Not because they wanted to. Not because they had an overwhelming love for Jews to do it. Certainly not. And people went there many times to just bomb these concentration camps, bomb the rail lines. They didn't want to do it. They did not want to get involved. Again, makes sense. But, it does make sense, but you're not relying on them. But you got to put your best foot forward. You still have to put your best foot forward, but you got to realize, where's the salvation? Salvation is only coming from God. And all these things we mentioned before, 100%, what's the purpose of his tests? Are we going to believe in God? We're not going to believe in God. We're going to have the faith. We're not going to have the faith. This is going to be the test before the Messiah comes. That is the ultimate test. Because you're going to see many things, right? God forbid worse. Then you're going to, people are going to ask the question, what's going on? And how can it be? That's what we have to work on the most, right? I don't think is any question, because things on a daily basis that go on, and then, one tragedy after another, God forbid. And then people ask, like, come on, why do these things happen? Why should this happen? But it's a test. It's a test. We're all being tested in different ways. And the question is, how are we going to come out of these tests? Whether it's livelihood tests, whether it's health issues, family, anything above. A person can get ramshacked all over, right? Totally get demolished and all, a lot of different things all at the same time. You can say, wow, what a covenant, beautiful, yeah. But but again, that's what it is. So, we got to, unless it's something like so many things happen above nature, that, you can't account for according to nature, then it might be an iron heart. But if it's normal wear and tear of things, and it's normal situations that people go through, even if they're hard, does not mean it's a what do you call it? It's an Einar. Someone asks, wanting to rely on Hashem and not on any people, is this detrimental to relationships when people know they have no faith in them? I mean, listen, you got to live in this world. It's not like you're living in a cave, right? People need other people, right? Even though the Chosavova says it's really you and God in the world, right? It's really you and God, and so what do you need people for? You need people to populate the world. You need to live in the world, right? Okay. Now, there are people who don't want to rely on other people, even if they're desperate circumstances, because they don't want to be beholden to other people. Okay. There is what to be said for that. But sometimes you have no choice, right? Sometimes you have no choice. So I don't think they're looking at a person and saying, oh, see, he has no faith in man. He only believes in God. I don't think people are looking at most people like that, right? Even if they're a God-fearing person. It's like, oh, he'll never rely on me. Why do you need to rely on someone? In general, you shouldn't have to rely on other people, right? But Murphy's Law is sometimes you do. And the problem is, if a person has expectations, they expect a family member, a good friend, this and that, to come through in the clutch, and they don't, right? So, then people get upset. So you can say, well, I can't rely on anyone except for God. You're right, but you have to put your best foot forward anyway, right? So I don't think people, I would disagree here. I don't think people are copying that to say, oh, he just believes in God. He doesn't have faith, he doesn't have faith in any people, so just move on. I don't think people are thinking that. I think most people today, and even previous generations, I think most people are thinking, how are they going to survive? How are they going to get through the day? I think that's what most people, are thinking. Now, I always wondered once, actually more than once, people would speak to me and this and that, that's because I had money. And people want, maybe someone want a favor down the line or whatever, and yeah, definitely misjudged the situation. I don't think there's any question about that. But it makes you think also. But I would say that even in that situation, even in that situation, people are just looking, to make it through the day. To make it through their lives, just to survive. Daily things. Not to mention, a person's married and marrying off kids and all the other expenses and there are a lot of things. There are a lot of things, right? So one of the misjudgments can be that a person thinks other people looking at them and saying, oh, like he's this, he's that. They may have none of that intention, whatsoever. Also, a person has to be careful. You cannot judge someone else unless you've been in their shoes. If a person has not been in the exact same situation, can't judge them, right? Someone here says, all right, for example, at work, you try to be friends with the boss or whatever, right? He's going to give you stuff, bonuses, whatever. Someone's bitachon, trust in Hashem, doesn't have to. And I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true because, if a person has is working for someone else, now you're not just sucking up to him for bonus or whatever. That helps. That I think for sure helps. But you want to have a healthy relationship. Some people would rather not deal with the boss and not see them, so they're not in your face all the time. Okay, right? That makes sense. But why would somebody, why would somebody, have a connection to the boss or whatever? They want to keep their job. They want to be on good relationship. But I don't think it has to do with. I don't think it has to do with sucking up to them or whatever. If you have bitachon, it's not a question of bitachon. It's not a question of having faith and belief in God over here, right? You can have all the faith that you want, but that's not what's going on here. You're doing it as a normal relationship, right? Or I should say normal, but you're having a relationship where you're giving certain things, he's giving certain things, whatever it may be. So therefore, It's not a question of, if you just have faith. If you just have proper faith, you ain't getting a job. Why are you going to work? God's going to take care of your needs. Now, if you're on that level, tremendously high level, which most people aren't, yeah, so you can do that, right? But most people have to work. Most people have to have a job. So you want to get along with as many people as possible by making boundaries. You have to have boundaries, right? For sure, you have to make boundaries. It's not a lack of emunah, right? It's not, it's not a lack of emunah, because the whole Zavavu says, in general, whole Zavavu says that, as we said, why do you need man anyway? It's only you and God, right? You're living the way God wants, or God forbid not, right? So it's between you and God. So if it's between you and God, right? If it's between you and God, why do you need man? Why do you need man? You don't need men. You don't need anybody else, but you need other people, right? You sure need other people, right? Even if someone's got the strongest amount of faith and belief, you still need other people. Yeah. Any other questions? All right, I'm going to stop here. I do this every Tuesday and Thursday. 10 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 o'clock Israel time. Anyone has any questions, fine. Feel free to contact me on Facebook at My Time Coffin, Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism, orthodoxconversion.com, Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism on YouTube. There I got videos on Q&As, ethics for our fathers, Book of Leviticus. You want to send me an email, rabbichaimkoffin@gmail.com, RBBICHIMCOFFMAN@gmail.com,